Hey everyone, welcome to Play Hooky with me. My name is Roz, and in today's video I'll be showing how to make an infinity shell square. In part 1, I'll share a step-by-step tutorial working the rounds with different colors, and then in part 2 I'll share how to work this pattern continuously without fastening off. Along the way I've added some important tips and tricks, so please check the description box below the video or along the progress line because I don't want you to miss it. To work our center, we'll be doing 8 double crochets with 2 chains in between. To get started, create a slip knot on your hook, wrap it around your finger, pull through, and tighten. You can begin with a magic circle if you like, but I'm doing a chain 4 to get started. Create a circle by going into the first chain from the hook and creating a slip stitch. Now we want to chain 3 to serve as our first double crochet, then 2 more to serve as our spacer in between. Next, double crochet into the circle, pull through 2, pull through 2, 1 double crochet. Continue to do this until you have 8 double crochets and 8 chain 2 spaces. Going into the third chain, go ahead and create a slip stitch to finish your center. Go ahead and fasten off however you like best. If you want to have a tight center and you didn't do a magic circle, you can simply take your tail now and weave it along the center here, just going all the way around, and then cinch it closed, and then weave in as you normally would. Now for round 2, we're going to be creating our first set of shells. We're making 4 shells to create 4 corners. We're going to be creating our shells with 7 double crochets and then a single crochet in between to anchor them down. So starting in any space that you like, go ahead and create your first single crochet. You can either do it like I am here, or you can do a slip stitch with a chain 1. Now we're going to do 7 double crochets into the next space. That's 1, 2, and now 5 more to complete your 7. Once you have your 7, going into the next space, create another single crochet to anchor it down. And we're just going to continue this all the way around. 7 double crochets into the next space, and single crochet into the next space, and continue all the way around until you have 4 shells and 4 single crochets. Once you've reached the end, go ahead and create a slip stitch into that very first single crochet that you completed, and fasten off. For round 3, we're going to be creating what I like to call holders, and that's simply where we're creating a space to put our next row or round of shells. Going into these 4 single crochets, we're going to be creating new corners for our shells. So fasten on however you like best into one of these single crochets. You can either do a single crochet or a slip stitch like I'm doing here, and chain 3. That's going to serve as your very first double crochet. Chain 2. We're going to put another double crochet into the same space. Chain 2 more. Double crochet again. Chain 2. And double crochet one more time. We want to see 4 double crochets and 3 chain 2 spaces. To get around to our next single crochet, we're going to be doing a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Going into the next single crochet, repeat the same sequence. We're going to be doing 4 double crochets with a chain 2 spacer in between. Continuing on with another chain 5, repeat the sequence until you've reached the end. Create a slip stitch in the top of your chain 3 there and fasten off however you like best. It's very important to check and double check this round, making sure that you have your spacers for your shells and single crochets. But if you do accidentally miss one, not a problem. You don't have to start over. We're just going to fill it in with a chain 3 to form one of your double crochets. So go ahead and add a slip knot to your hook. Once you have that made, go ahead and take it off of your hook. Working into the front of your work, next to one of your double crochets, pull your loop through, and then you're going to form 3 chains, just working from the back to the front. A little fiddly, but that's okay. 2, 3, and then find a chain next to that double crochet and then just finish with a slip stitch. It is kind of close to the other post, but once you get your shells in there, you won't even notice. And that's it. Once you get your shells in there, it's virtually impossible to see. A reversible blanket or square just means that there is no right or wrong side, and this is very easy to do with this pattern. The key is to flip your work every time you're working on a shell round. So the easiest way for me to remember this is when I get started on my shell round, I just make sure that the wrong side is facing me. That will be the bumpy side. And then I just work my double crochet shells as normal. This will ensure that the shells are alternating for you. And really that's all there is to it. And I'll be sure to share this info in part 2 as well when we're working on the continuous blanket. Round 4, we're working on shells again, and I like to start in the corner. We're going to put a single crochet in the center. Your single crochet helps to anchor down your shells on each side in the corners. To form one side of your corner, go ahead and do your shell, 7 double crochets. Now we're going to start our side, and what we want to do is do a single crochet in the 4th double crochet in the previous shell. Go through the top, pull your yarn through, yarn over to create your single crochet. Now just continue on as normal, working on another corner, a shell of 7 double crochets, single crochet to anchor it down, followed by another group of double crochets to form your next shell. Okay, we're back to another side, so working into the top of the 4th double crochet, do a single crochet. Now we're just going to do this all the way around. I'm back to my first corner and just finishing my shell, 7 double crochets. To finish, do a slip stitch into that very first single crochet at the beginning. Fasten off, and we're ready for round 5. Now it's time to do another round of placeholders or spacers. We're getting ready to start working on our sides with this round. As you can see, we have corners and sides now. So let's go ahead and start in a side. We're going to do the same kind of thing, but we're just going to do one placeholder. Fasten on with a slip knot or with a single crochet, and then chain 3 to form your first double crochet. Chain 2 more, and then do a double crochet into the same stitch. This is going to form a space for your side shell. Now chain 5 like we were doing before. That'll help us to get to our first corner. And we're going to resume the same technique as we did before. We're creating 3 spaces with 4 double crochets. One, two, three, four, chain 5. This is going to take us around the shell to get us over to the next side. And we're going to repeat the same process again with 1 spacer. So a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Just continue this all the way around. To finish, go into the 3rd chain and create a slip stitch and fasten off. For round 6 and so on now, you're just going to be repeating the sequence until you reach the size that you want. We're going to be starting in a corner again with a single crochet to create your first little anchor for your corner shells. Working your first shell of 7 double crochets. Again, just working into the side, going into the top of the double crochet from the previous shell stitch. And now we're coming to our first side. We're going to do 7 double crochets into this spacer or holder here. And then you know what to do. You're just going to go into the top of the 4th with a single crochet and then follow through all the way around doing the same thing. Finishing up on the original corner, adding a slip stitch to the first single crochet, and that's all there is to it. And this is just going to build or increase incrementally. It'll go from 1 shell on the side to 2, 3, and so on. To do round 7, just refer back to round 5 and then you'll be good to go. For the continuous round segment, I'm going to assume that you're familiar with the pattern already and focus just on the beginning and the end of each round. If you aren't familiar with the tutorial, then please refer back to the step-by-step. Work round 1 as you normally would. You'll do your chain 4 with a slip stitch into the beginning chain, chain 3 for your first double crochet, plus 2 for the spacer in between. Repeat this 7 more times. At the end, you'll have 8 double crochets with chain 2s in between. Add a slip stitch into the 3rd chain. And now we're ready for round 2. And this is where we're going to be adding our first 4 corners. So going into the first space, do a single crochet. This is your first anchor. And then in the next space, you'll complete your 7 double crochets for your first shell. When you're finished with this round, you'll have 4 shells with 1 single crochet between each. When you come to the end of the round, go ahead and put a slip stitch into that very first single crochet to finish this round. We're right in line now to continue with round 3. We're going to be making our space holders for our shells. That's a chain 5. Remember, that's chain 3 for your double crochet and chain 2 for your spacer. And then you're just going to continue on with this round as you normally would. Remember, we're creating 3 spaces for each corner with a chain 5 in between to get to those spaces. Once you've reached the end, go ahead and do a slip stitch into the first chain 3. And at this point, we're getting ready to work round 4 with the shells, and you can either do it the regular way or do a reversible. Let's do the reversible first. Chain 1 and turn. This is going to get us into the right spot. We're going to be working into the top of the 4th double crochet from the previous shells. Remember, we want to see the wrong side if we're doing the reversible. Do a single crochet and then continue on with your shells as normal. Now if we're working in a continuous round by round, you'll be wanting to go into this first space. So do a slip stitch here, and then a chain 3 to form your first double crochet for your shell. Continue on with 6 more double crochets, and then continue on with the round as you normally would. Once you reach the end, you're going to do a single crochet into the top of the 4th double crochet from the previous shell round, and then you're going to go into the 3rd chain, and you want to pull this quite snugly because you want to pull it into that single crochet. This will get you in the right place for round 5. We're making the placeholders for our future shells. And here we are, we're on our corners and our sides now. And we finished here, and this round is beginning on a side. So we're going to do the chain 3 plus chain 2 for that spacer. So let's do 2 more. And then a double crochet to make that side spacer or holder. Remember, we only do 1 on the side, and then we do 3 spaces in the corners. And then once you've reached the end, do a single crochet into the top of that chain 3, and now you're ready for round 6. If you're wanting to do the reversible, chain 1 and turn, remember we want to see the wrong side of the previous shell round. Do a single crochet in the top of that double crochet, and continue on as normal. Okay, and if you're working on the right side only, go ahead and do a slip stitch into that space right there, creating your first shell on the side, 7 double crochets, and then all the way around as normal. Just continue to repeat this sequence around and around until you get to the size that you want.